You know what I noticed about Scott Morrison? Ooh, there's a name we haven't heard at Friendly Geordies for a while. I forgot he existed. I've just been focusing on Gladys Berejiklian for so long that I think I know you. Aren't you Dick Smith? Yeah, that guy does deserve the amount of online hate he receives. Your peanut butter is slightly worse than Kraft's. Look, I'm not going to lie, I have dropped the ball over the last 6 months, focusing exclusively on Gladys Berejiklian, while Scott Morrison has been doing way worse stuff to the entire nation. But hey, at least we got some cool shirts out of it. On sale now, get it for Christmas.
No more shirts.
No, what are you talking? You, it's the sweetest plum.
They won't be shipped in time for Christmas.
Alright, get it for Christmas in July. Something I have noticed by not looking at Beanbag Head for an entire solstice is that guy gets off doing dodgy shit. That's his kink in life, legalizing corruption. The gas-led COVID recovery plan? I know I'm late to the party, but what the hell was that? Hey, you forgot about that, did you? Merry Christmas, Australia. Hey, at least it's not coal in your stocking this time. Gas in the stocking this year. This is what a Bond villain would look like if their character was a shit Australian bureaucrat. He threatened to build a gigawatt gas plant unless the private sector did it first. That was his good afternoon, gentlemen, to the UN. That's usually the job of lobbyists in the private sector, forcing the government to tone down their action on climate change. Scott Morrison is lobbying the lobbyists. BHP and Rio Tinto, I'm warning you, if you don't contribute more to climate change, I'm just going to have to build your gas plant for you. Would you like that? To be embarrassed like that? No, sir. No, that's all right. Don't drop the ball again. God, it feels like I'm the only one looking out for your shareholders. Australia had a golden opportunity with COVID to create a green tech revolution that would have been much more beneficial to Australia's economy, as we have 500 times the amount of renewable energy than we would ever need for domestic consumption. But instead, obviously, because it's the Liberals, Scott Morrison put an entire gas board on the COVID recovery that came up with such a hodgepodge ad hoc announcement, which of course the media ate up without understanding any of the technical details. In fact, Scott Morrison didn't understand the plan and changed his mind within a couple of days. He downgraded the capacity to 250 megawatts because building a gas plant in Australia in this day and age is insane, even when you don't consider cut reasons like climate change. The 2017 Australian blackout was caused by their biggest gas generator. And then the largest blackout recently was caused by a lube oil leak at the new gas plant at Western Australia. I knew that little lube-mobile kid would grow up to be a Just think about it from SimCity days. The gas plant was the worst option by a mile. It was the most expensive and produced the least amount of energy. And if aliens it up, it was worse than if they attacked a nuke plant. That's Scott Morrison's prime ministership summed up perfectly. Worse than you playing SimCity 2000 when you were 10, not understanding how the game works, and pressing the bushfire button. In classic Scobo style, which is the exact opposite of Elvis's style, there was a little more conversation and a little less action. Mostly what he does as prime minister is make a bunch of announcements because he's a marketer, just to appease the nuts in his party who sit there and say, well, as long as he's not talking about windmills, I'm not going to get pissed off. This is something that I've learned about the Liberal Party over the last year. There is a couple of them that have this school captain syndrome that just want to be prime minister so they can wear the shiny badge. Then there's just a bunch of shady behind them that are pulling all the strings and doing all of these unbelievably corrupt dealings that are very happy for that person to be out the front taking most of the heat. When people always say, oh yeah, the faction bosses behind the Labor Party, what are they doing? Ploying so that nurses get a little bit better representation in Parliament. Ooh. Conversely, the power players of the Liberal Party are just in power so that they can divvy out huge amounts of your tax dollars into their businesses. That's why their announcements are so poorly crafted, never make any sense whatsoever to the bureaucracy of Australia, but they make perfect sense to the ministers, because the land that Scott Morrison is trying to build this gas plant on is owned by a delightful young chap named Jeff McCloy. If you've never heard that name before, it's probably because he's the guy that got 11 Liberals to resign in disgrace as he gave them tens of thousands of dollars in illegal donations in brown paper bags. That much of a stereotype. Couldn't even use Coles bags. You know when it's your 5th birthday and you get a Toy Story cake because you love Toy Story? Jeff McCloy's Toy Story cake was a corruption cake. He literally got a cake shaped like a brown paper bag full of cash for his birthday. This is why it's getting harder and harder as each year rolls by to be a satirist in the Western world. Because if I wrote that, everyone would say that that is a bit too far of a stretch. Currently suing New South Wales for his God-given right to donate money to the coalition as a property developer. Just a man of impeccable morality, which the more you look at it, it really seems like Scott Morrison has engineered an entire economic recovery of a nation around this man. 40k to the Libs federally in the past, not to mention tens of thousands of illegal donations, and sorry, off track a little after members of his government accepted illegal donations. You know what Mike Baird did? No reason for this, but I think it's time to at least review the ban on property developer donations. You see, there's just a couple of Jabba the Hutts sprinkled around Australia that the Liberals will bend over backwards to serve. I swear to God, if McCloy wanted a frozen Harrison Ford, he'd get it.
Oh, next birthday cake idea. Thanks, mate.
When we first started looking into this, because you can predict the patterns, we thought, yeah, okay, surely this guy had some insider knowledge, or he lobbied the Morrison government to make the recovery work in this particular way. As always, not a conspiracy. He and the Stevens Group bought this huge tract of land which, just by coincidence, is where they were going to build the new gas plant. And geez, what do you know again? The Stevens Group are on the list of political lobbyists that were recently FOI'd. But you know what's sad about all of this, and Merry Christmas by the way? This isn't big news anymore. I mean, it was never news in the first place because the news is completely complicit in this corruption. But even if we did have an honest press, they wouldn't be reporting on this because this is just the way things are done in this country now. Even if nothing ends up being built on the land, this announcement just acts like another big ad to the private sector. Cancel your subscription to Money Magazine and put it into donations to the Liberal Party. I'll help you reach the fast lane. 1 billion% return on investment guaranteed. These announcements are nothing but massive wins for ScoMo, who has built a career off of nothing by rewarding his donor mates by promising nothing, posturing within the party, therefore strengthening his leadership, manipulating the media into accepting another drop and another day of positive headlines. Read Callum Foote's great article on this, links in the bio, and most importantly of all, remember this is tantamount to the Liberals' ideology: nothing gets done. Like and subscribe.
Please share and comment below. Comment.